Something my students hear all the time in my lessons is themify the theme. It's a bit of a ridiculous way of saying, what is your intention in this part? And are you doing everything you can to make it happen successfully? Often it's in a theme. There's kind of a noodly theme that looks like it wants to come out, but it's not really a theme. Well, let's really make it a theme. Let's really make it have a clear beginning, a clear middle, clear ending. But you can apply that to so many different parts of a piece, whether it be, is this supposed to be a break here, or are you meaning to kind of have the harmonies get really dissonant and weird here? If so, great. Let's acknowledge that and make sure we're setting everything up to make that moment absolutely land. All right, so you got the string quartet. Show me what you got.
Yeah. So,
So that was the part I want to talk to you about. You've got this moment here where you got like a little apostrophe break, right? Mm-hmm. It feels like you want to break. My question is there enough of a break right there? Like, because I feel like we should be more intentional. Like if that's the idea of a break, let's really have it right. And then, right? So we've got like freeze. And you've already got that in there with that little apostrophe. But that's a little bit like a themify the theme, right? Mm-hmm. You have the idea, but let's really make that an intentional moment. It's a cool piece, dude. I can't wait to get to the end of it. There is no down.
That's
okay.
Right. That's
you say tone poem, but it's kind of like a fanfare.
Yeah, fanfare.
Okay. All right, I want to talk to you about the beginning here. This happens. So before you do that, you've got this cool accumulating texture. You've got 3 measures of it. Mm-hmm. To me, it looks like, because the way you have the violins and the violas start accumulating, you want that texture to like build and build. And then you have this giant entrance of the brass. Awesome. I wonder if you're really gonna like figure out the intention of this and make the most of it. Could this beginning part go a little bit longer? You know, it doesn't have to have the same notes all the time, but you know. You know, could it like go bigger and bigger and bigger, so that when you finally get it, you know, you've kind of like earned that moment. Because right now we just have these 3 measures, but if this kind of crept up, forgetting my bad piano playing, you get kind of the idea. I mean, I think it works really well what you've done. That said, you've opened up an opportunity to like kind of make the textures feel like they are the theme. Mm-hmm. And just when you start to love the textures, then the theme comes in and pushes those into the background.
Okay, so we allow the audience to kind of simmer into the music before smacking them with the brass entrance. Yeah,
I mean, or if that entrance is going to be this entrance, you might as well like pull the bow back.
Yeah.
Really build it up so when you drop it, it's like you've earned that big entrance.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So we want to look at this. You got the beginning of uplift here.
Yeah.
This is what I want to talk to you about.
Okay.
It seems like when you bring in the viola and the bass.
Yeah.
It seems like after you've had this ostinato and the viola, like this is kind of a moment where you're really stating something outside of G minor.
Yeah.
Right? Like it seems like it's like I'm landing on this kind of slightly surprising median.
Okay.
So my thought here is that instead of having just 4 measures of the viola repeating, maybe you could have other things that keep pointing to G minor, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what it'd be. You could have other kinds of things like point up to G. You could have like harmonics. But so when you bring in this, it's really like definitively stating, okay, we're cutting against that. We're going into a new key area, because it seems like these 4 measures here could have more ways to kind of misdirect the listener, right? We're thinking. come in there, oh, it's like a shift. So that's one thing. And then another place I thought of a kind of a themify the theme. What am I doing? Could I be doing it even better?
Okay.
And here, right? So when you have these really cool like syncopations in the violin, it seems like you could really lean into like I'm trying to shatter the beat. It's kind of breaking the beat a little bit. I would say having a bunch of accents on these, really doubling up on the supporting those syncopations with accents would be great. You might even have other instruments hitting those, because if what you're trying to do is get out of the kind of like that kind of repeated, tyranny of just quarter notes, this, if you can really like push the listener to thinking, oh, we're now on, that is going to make it even more powerful when you go to your like kind of almost like hoedown section, right? It's kind of a hoedown, right?
I wouldn't say
so. So we want to make sure that's not just bum, 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 but we really want the listener to feel like bum, 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 dun, dun, dun. So really make them feel like you're going to 12/16 or something.
Yes.
So that's themify the theme in a kind of rhythmic way.
Yes.
Cool. It's going to be an awesome piece.
Thank
And
you.
it's for a crazy ensemble. Oboe, clarinet, viola, violin, bass. All you need is a left-hand piano. I am so psyched to see what you've done with this melody. Let's take a quick look at it. So the original version of this melody that you brought in was this. Right? So it already started to kind of repeat after just 4 bars. And obviously these harmonics are going to continue. What I love is that we talked about how you're going to themify the theme, really make this a theme, give it a lot of length, give it a beginning, a middle, and an end. And so here's where you are now. Today I saw this, it's awesome. And it keeps going. So it's really a big improvement, because now we have a real theme that goes for a while before it starts repeating. Because if you can give your listener something that has, let's say, a 20-second or 30-second kind of lifespan versus 4 measures or 2 measures, the listener is going to be able to have a much deeper dive emotionally. So having that strong theme is enabling you to actually have a lot more freedom in the piece than you could if you had more of a noodly thing.
Yeah, but I feel I stick to the theme too much, maybe. So
Well, I have that problem sometimes too. I think it's not a bad, it's not a hard to solve issue. If you feel like you're hitting the theme too much, you can go in there and pull away from it after the fact. You can edit it. I think one thing to do, we talked about, your theme has this accompaniment, right? These harmonics. And so even though it's just like background material, remember that any theme's accompaniment is also part of the theme, part of the DNA of the theme. So maybe in a subsequent section, you could take this thing, whatever it is, and you could, move it down here. You could have the idea of a kind of oscillating fifths that start to move, start to change notes. That could become its own development. So the accompaniment is just as important a part of a theme as the theme itself. All right, so you just got a recording of this piece just like a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So let's check it out. is awesome. Super beautiful. Really different from the first movement. So, so tell me how this is working. Like, is there? It sounds like there's a theme, but it's not like a, like a super hummable theme. It's more like a textural harmonic theme. How would you describe it?
I would say it's more a repetition of intervals over the whole piece.
So that's like this D, C sharp, B, that kind of thing. Because I noticed when you got to this this measure right here, 62, it felt like a reprise, mainly because I was hearing that that D, C sharp.
Yeah.
When I heard this, I thought it was incredibly effective movement. I did feel like, in a way, what you were doing was a kind of textural theme. And so if you're doing that, that's different from a normal, like, beginning, middle, and end theme. But it's good to know that, to state, okay, I'm doing a theme that has these intervals, that has these kind of there's some kind of open strings in there. And so I wonder if when you get to the ending here, do you think there's reason to maybe bring back the theme way up in the, like, kind of simply stated in the top lines, or it seems like it kind of like evaporates a little bit more there in the end? I kind of found like I wanted to hear it stated in some, as effective as it is, or at least I wondered whether it should be like, kind of stated almost like a harmonic version. If you're going to really lean into, this is the idea, it's a textural theme, you started kind of low and rich. Could there be a version of it where you get to the top and it's totally up here, really, really high, as like a kind of glassy embodiment of that? It's basically, the Themify the theme is now, in this case, what is my intention? My intention in the beginning is this rich, kind of open intervals, open strings, that kind of sound world. Could I take that and then reprise it in a really like magnificent high way? It's just a thought.